This is meteorologist Mark Molnar here at MeteoMark. It's February 14th, 2013. Let's get into the current weather conditions here for February 14th this afternoon and this evening. We have a lake effect snow watch on the western portion of New York State, including Dunkirk, Jamestown area. This is where we'll start seeing lake effect snow bands starting Friday night into Saturday as the colder air pours in. Let's take a look. We also have lake effect snow watches across much of the upper UP of Michigan and heading on up into parts of near Lake Superior. And across the southeast here, we're dealing with a stalled out frontal boundary across Florida here. You can see lots of showers and thunderstorms pinwheeling their way across Florida. And then we have flash flood warnings continuing across Alabama, Mississippi, and Georgia, and the panhandle of Florida, and parts of southern Louisiana with that system we saw move through and stalled out across the southeast. So we're continuing to see flooding going on and flash flooding as well. Across the midsection of the country, things are very quiet at the moment. And out west, there is absolutely nothing to talk about right now. Temperate temperatures, lots of sunshine, and of course, quite seasonable. So let's get right into precipitation amounts during the next 4 to 5 days. Here are guidance forecasts indicating here across the mid-Mississippi River Valley up to 1/2 to 1/4 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch possible here in northern Louisiana up through Arkansas. Then you extend over towards the northeast here off the coast. That's where we're going to get into a little bit of a weekend storm. The GFS is kind of hinting at that. Although the GFS doesn't have a very good track record this winter, I'm going to discuss that. Then you got up here in the northwest in the next day or two, we're going to have another system skirt the northwest with probably 1/4 to 1/2 an inch of rainfall, but snowfall levels should be rather high. So if we take a look at the weather hazards here, South Florida rain, snowfall across the northern tier here, and rainfall possibly in the Pacific Northwest. That's during the next 24 to 48 hours here. Areas where the yellow, that's where we're seeing the fog. So we get right into this lake effect snow event. You can see across, let me get off the screen here. Over here towards western Pennsylvania, western New York, this is where we could see some streamers coming off, and this is the threat of lake effect snow, possibly 1 foot or more in many areas. And then we go up here towards Lake Superior, Lake Michigan. These areas could be seeing some lake effect snow as well with these bands. So we're going to watch that for this weekend as the cold air pours across these lakes. So let's take a look at the other scenario we have going on, and that other scenario is the weekend storm. Let's take a look at what we've got going on here. The left low pressure system moving up the coast, that is the GFS. The low pressure further out to sea is the Euro. I'm kind of siding with the Euro, keeping it much further off the coast. That would keep significant accumulations off the New England coast. But if both scenarios do paint a possible light snow event or moderate snow event across parts of Virginia, the mountains of the Appalachians here, starting later tomorrow. So we're going to continue to watch that. This is a very complicated weather scenario. So right now, the models, of course, still don't have things sorted out completely, and that's really expected because that has been the theme this winter. Completely dysfunctional models. So this is the areas I'm highlighting here. We're not going to get, this is sad, we're not going to get into snowfall accumulations, but you can see in the white here, that's where we could see 6 or more inches. Here in the blue, that's where we'll see probably 2 to 4 inch amounts. And areas west of this event probably won't see anything. So you see those two lows, that's the track, and of course there'll be a clipper moving across the northern tier here. Then we get into next week's storm, which could be a blizzard for places like Chicago, Milwaukee, Green Bay, Minneapolis, heading on up to the upper UP of Michigan. There's going to be a Colorado low ejecting across most models project this the early to middle part of next week. Low pressure moving across the northern tier of the country and having blizzard conditions across the north here, and that will continue on into your Thursday and Friday of next week. That's a very strong storm, and it could affect areas. We're not going to get into snowfall amounts with that because models have flip-flop, but we are seeing a pattern set up that we could see more Colorado lows here in the future. So what does that mean for East Coast long-term snowstorms? Well, the NAO index is going negative in the long term, but I just don't see any evidence of any major East Coast snowstorms developing other than this weekend's. which of course probably won't be a complete direct hit. So we're not looking at anything extreme. So we get into the AO index, the Arctic Oscillation. That is already negative. That could be heading positive by the end of February, which would indicate less storminess, which goes along with my theme of a early spring and a warm March and April across much of the east. So that's what we're looking at here. Let's take a look at the temperatures to finish us off here. We're going to look at Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and possibly Tuesday here. Let's take a look at temperatures here. We see this weekend across the northeast, that's where temperatures get colder. But here in the west, conditions remain fairly mild. As you see as we put this into motion, bouts of cold air will spread across the northeast into the early part of next week. But we continue to see a theme of warmer temperatures here in the southern plains, mid-Mississippi River Valley, heading on over into the south, and Florida remains quite toasty. Here we'll start to see a warming trend across the east towards the middle part of next week as we get this system ejecting. You see these warm temperatures. So that's what we're going to look at. That's the trend we're looking at. I'm meteorologist Mark Molnar. Like us on Facebook at MeteoMark. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Here's a 4-day forecast for my hometown viewers from Binghamton to Elmira in the northern tier counties of Pennsylvania.